Welcome everyone to the fifth ever episode of Exploring Aliveness. Today we're talking about limiting beliefs, and I'm here with my friend Pablo, which I'm gonna hand off to.
What's up, everyone? How y'all doing? I gotta say that it is like 0 degrees Fahrenheit over in Sparta, New Jersey. It has not been that fun. So yeah, just checking in with the basic realities of environment. With that aside, limiting beliefs. Oof. The thing that I find really interesting about limiting beliefs is that, at least in my experience so far, they're like so close to my eyes that I can't even see them. So they're like, we could even call it like blind spot beliefs. I think would also be a pretty accurate synonym for that. And gaining the ability to see a limiting belief, for it to no longer be in a blind spot, is ugh, such such an enlightening experience. And whew, I already have a few of those moments bubble up in my head. However, before we get going on that, I'm gonna throw it back to you, Samek, and I'm curious about what makes this topic interesting for you.
Yeah, and the reason I wanted to talk about it is I feel like in the moment, my experience is the same. Like limiting beliefs are invisible until you hit them. It's like
Mm.
this invisible wall that you don't know is there, that you're kind of avoiding. You're not even looking. It's like here, it's like this thing that's like you're not looking at. It's invisible. There's an invisible wall. And then
Mm.
you have a goal, you have a want, you have something. And like in the walking towards it, and when you actually own your want and walk towards, that's when you hit the invisible wall. That's when you hit the limiting belief. And that's been happening a lot for me in the past few weeks. And because it's been happening so much, I've been really curious about like what is the architecture of the mind that creates
Mm.
these invisible walls, these blind spots? How can I move through the world such that I am owning that I have blind spots, I have walls, and I'm owning that what I want is still going to be shaped by my window of reality. How do I own that as I move through reality? How can I experiment? How can I move one step at a time, knowing that I'll hit these walls as I'm moving if I truly own the moment to moment actions that I want? And like we prior to starting this, we like discussed topics, and I was like, the things I'm interested in right now are like archetypes and playing roles and role playing and relationships. And the reason I feel like I'm so interested in it is because it puts me in a spot, in a way of being that allows me to look back at how the role I'm playing now. Like if I step into a different role, I get to see the role that I was playing and then all the limiting beliefs around that. It's like every time I step into a new role, I get triggered because there's all these actions that I'm not supposed to take in the previous role I was playing. So there's a way in which like role playing or like taking up different archetypes allows me to see more of my limiting beliefs and is more triggering. Or like I'd like get into a new relationship or meet a new person who sees the world completely differently than I do and is taking action completely differently than I do. That's really triggering for me because it highlights all my limiting beliefs and all my walls.
Mm.
And both of those things are really alive for me right now, which
Mm.
is why I want to talk about it.
Cool, cool. So what's coming up for me, and that is, you have your worldview, which seems to be motivated or driven by some archetype that you're playing, some role, you change archetype or role, and then that's a different worldview, which now clashes with the previous role you were playing. And now you're meeting other people who have an entirely different worldview as yours, and then there's another collision of worldviews that occurs in that moment.
Yeah. Chaos. It's great.
Yeah, I just had this fun idea of like if a movie could speak to another movie, they would be like, "What the fuck is this shit?"
That's it.
Like it wouldn't make any sense whatsoever.
But something happens in that synthesis. Like if I hit those walls and I actually like hang out with that freeze that happens, that limiting belief,
Mhm.
I feel through the emotional content that's causing me to not see this as an option. What happens is my reality gets more vivid, as in, like, I start to assimilate their worldview and my worldview into a new, more vast, expansive worldview with more optionality. Like, the classic saying in the Buddhist sphere is, mind as vast as the sky, action as fine as barley. All right, when they describe like awakening and all that stuff. And there's something that happens where like I recognize someone playing what is it? Someone in a different movie, and I'm like, wait, they're taking actions that make no sense to me. I get close to them, I get triggered like a fucking motherfucker because it's really triggering to be in a reality that is just like not okay in my reality, right? There's like
Mhm.
limiting beliefs, and it's like, okay, let me step into this world that they're in that's outside of my limiting beliefs. And that like triggers me. There's a lot of identity, a lot of ways of being, a lot of emotions that I'm not allowed to feel that they're just feeling. So then I'm just like dissolving
Mhm.
my walls. And then what happens is I have more creativity, I have more decision making power because I have a vaster range of decisions I can make. I can make the decisions I could previously make, and now I can also make the decisions that this other person could make. So I have like a vaster arsenal of decisions I can make. But I also know, as I've assimilated all those decisions, that there's only one right decisions that I want to make right now. So I gain like that self-actualized agency, like a vaster, like a more agentic way of taking action because I have seen through some limiting belief that I was living in.
Yeah, and what I'm gathering there is once you run into these different worldviews, there's like this friction involved. But instead of you like either rejecting the person or the worldview or just like running away, you let that friction happen. And in that, this integration of them happening and gives you more flexibility basically in your perception.
Yes, more flexibility.
Yeah, cool. Cool. And where we're at right now in the conversation, I'm noticing that like these images keep coming to mind, and they're basically like little frames of this experience that I'm going through right now, which is I've been on and off with different spiritual schools, and I've done Catholicism, and I've done nothing, and I've done atheism, and I've done Buddhism, and like I've tested different schools, but none of them seem to like really land for me. So today I was pretty excited and hopeful to go to this new school that seems interesting to me. And I wake up, I'm jazzed up, I roll in, I show up, I experience the Sunday mass that they had, and I was enjoying it, and at the same time feeling into like, fuck, this isn't a click for me. Like, sure, I can enjoy it and I can dance and I can speak with the people, but like, if I'm being really honest, like, I don't want to come back. At least I don't want to like fully immerse myself in this specific container. So I'm driving back home. I get home, and my parents like, how'd it go? Because they knew I was excited. And I start sharing with them what my experience was. And in the middle of me sharing my experience, I just had to like pause and like close my eyes for a moment. And that's when I was like, ah, fuck. I'm telling a story to these people, to my parents, that is clearly limiting my experience. And I no longer resonate with this story. However, I didn't want to look into it any further. I just noticed that like there was some grief that was starting to well up, and then I've been I've been avoiding going back there for the rest of the day. So right now I'm feeling a little like cramped and a little like I need to take a shit. So I'm being like constipated. But where I'm going with this is,
Wait, could you elaborate on the constipated part?
yeah. So because I'm noticing that this, so going back to the friction that you were sharing, right? Like there's a friction when two worldviews are not compatible. And what happened to me was like, oh, I'm sharing this worldview that when I'm mindful and aware of it, it's no longer compatible with me. I'm like, oh, this is a limiting story that's not really gaining me. It's not really empowering me. It's actually doing the opposite. So there's some friction that started to occur in between the story that I was sharing and my awareness of it. So basically, that's a bunch of emotions that I haven't felt. And right now, because I haven't felt those emotions, and I feel that I've been just like putting them on the side, I feel like constipated. I feel like there's a release that my body wants to produce. There is a there's some metabolic, like emotional metabolic process that needs to complete itself, and it hasn't. So I'm feeling like a little like armored, and I'm feeling just like less fluid, and life has less of a movie like experience, and it's more like I'm like moving through like this sluggish territory, and I'm fully aware that it started when, yeah, I'm in the friction of it. It started when I noticed this belief that I no longer agree with. So I want to share that because that's alive in this moment regarding this
Sounds
subject.
like you're working through a limiting belief.
Yes, I fucking am.
You're in it. You're in the thick of it. It's great.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes. And what makes this one in particular pretty juicy is that I'm telling myself some version of a story that I haven't met God, and that God is gonna be this specific way, and like I can't get there, and I need to get there, and I need to find the right school that's gonna be the bridge for me to get there. And once I heard myself saying all that, I'm like, bro, nah, man, nah. And I'm like, it's the first time it's the first time I'm starting to see through this story that was so close to my eyes that I couldn't see it. But now that I'm starting to see it, I'm like, oh, I mean, the process has started, and it feels pretty core to my life. Like this specific story, like if limiting beliefs are on a gradient, some are like not that limiting, but still limiting, and some are like hella limiting, and they're like the big boss of a video game. And like some bosses are like more powerful, and if you kill that boss, it unlocks an even bigger reward and bounty. So I'm definitely at some like big boss right now, given the constriction and the resistance that my system has to go into that deeper. Fuck.
Yeah, I'm excited for you.
Stay tuned for more.
Yeah. What I'm hearing is you have a limiting belief around how you can have a relationship with God,
Yes.
and you've seen that you're in the limiting belief,
Yes.
and now you're like, wait, this is a wall that doesn't need
Yes.
to be there,
Yeah.
and now you want to poop it out, poop out the wall.
Basically my system is like calling me to like stop getting your ass into busy things and just sit down and face the big boss. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And that's gonna change how you don't know the new reality you're gonna be in.
Correct.
It's like, what
Yeah.
is my relationship with God in the future? I don't know, but I know that right now I'm in this wall. I'm in this little box, this limiting belief of how I think my relationship with God is gonna be.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
you're like, wait, this is fake, and now I'm constipated because I can feel the wall pushing, and I am not this wall.
I felt really good to receive that. Yes, that's an accurate depiction of my situation. And the one tweak I would add is that I have this idea of how my relationship with God should be.
Yeah.
And that isn't matching my lived experience. So this delta is causing me to be like, I don't know what's going on. And I'm glad I noticed that because I feel that many limiting beliefs have like this should factor of how the
Mm,
world should be, as in like a specific rule and assumption with no flexibility.
yeah. And I'm also noticing that other piece that you mentioned, which is like that dissonance.
Mm.
Like that's when you notice the walls. It's like, oh,
Mm.
my lived experience no longer like the limiting belief is like it's a should, how the world should be. And the world just is.
Hmm.
So when you just live and notice how the world is, you're going to notice this dissonance, especially if
Mm.
it's around the topic of the limiting belief. And then in the act of feeling that dissonance, that friction, that's when the limiting belief drops away.
Mm.
And I'm having similar things of like, for me, it's intimacy.
Mm.
Like, I feel like most people have a fear of intimacy, they just don't know it. It's currently my take. As I look around the world, it's like everyone's scared to connect. Like every single person here is scared to connect. And I'm like, wait, am I scared to connect? I don't think so. Let me connect. And then I connect and I'm like, oh, my body is shaking right now. Fuck. I feel like I'm gonna die. Like I feel like I'm naked and I'm falling when I'm just connecting with this person like with
Mm.
zero mask. And I'm like, ooh, I am terrified of connection without like trying to earn someone's love or without defending in any
Mm.
way. It's like, wow, there's like a limiting belief. There's a belief here that like I will die if I don't do anything while loving someone and connecting with them.
Mm.
And then I'm like, what's the lived experience? Is it, will I die? They're like, no. And now I am also in this friction of like, wow, I am like terrified of intimacy, but there's nothing to be terrified of. So I am like, there's like this disillusion of the fear. But the thing
Mm.
is, the fear is there. So like it was there for a reason. Like the territory, the map was created for a territory for a reason. So
Mm.
I'm assuming like when I was a baby or when I was a kid, like connecting in that level would actually get me hurt. So then I created this map, this belief, this limiting belief that kept me safe. And now it's no longer true because I'm an adult. But that means that I need to feel through those emotions that I felt when I was a kid that is holding the limiting belief together. I need to feel through
Mm.
the terror of death, the terror of being abandoned, that was real in the past, to be able to now no longer have that wall
Mm.
constructing how I take action.
Oh man, I'm having so much rich imagery come up when you share, and this cool flip on limiting beliefs is coming up, and it's like, wow, we could even call them outdated beliefs or like outdated maps of our territory, which at some point were useful and valuable and served us in some way. If not, they were not originated in the first place. But now that we're grown and we have more experience, they're not actually representing the actual territory as we live it. And this other thing that's coming up, it's as if there's like this fire and like the fire is dangerous, and then the limiting belief becomes like this thing on top of the fire. So now we're safe on top of this limiting belief that is protecting the fire. But once we realize, oh shit, this belief is kind of outdated and it's not serving me anymore. And once we're able to be honest with ourselves and face it, then the fires from the past that used to be scary and dangerous now become available. And feeling into those bad boys just like makes the belief totally unnecessary and it just like evaporates.
Yeah. What is the saying? It's like every epiphany is the new beginnings of a rut.
Yeah, every epiphany is the beginning of a new rut. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's like that thing. Like it feels like now that you're describing it back to me of like, oh yeah, like we're constantly creating maps for our territory so we can navigate our territory.
Yeah.
But like no map is real.
Hmm.
So it's like there's eventually going to be a point where you have to deconstruct the map that you created for the territory because the territory changed or updated. But that doesn't mean it was bad. Like it served its purpose more so than like it was useless and I shouldn't have had that belief in the first place. It's like, it was just like, oh, when I was 5, I created this map about intimacy and connection. I am 24. I don't need this map from a 5-year-old, but it served its purpose. It's a little really outdated, but I feel like for most people, like their attachment system is just really old maps that like they haven't updated because all the emotions are so big from when they were a kid.
Oh,
Um, but it served its purpose. It was a map that was useful. It was mapping a territory, but the territory is changed, so now you can change the maps. But the emotions, that's the sticky bit.
so this funny moment I had yesterday. So I got back into vlogging and I got back into like private vlogging and then like public vlogging where I post myself on YouTube. But I was recording a private one yesterday, and I love those because I feel the most like free because I know it's not going anywhere and it's just for my enjoyment and like they're just so sweet and I get to be so brutally irreverent and honest and just like I get to be however I want to be. And I was recording this thing, and then this part of me is like, I need to be really eloquent right now, and I need to say all the right things. And then I heard it, and then I called it out, and I'm like, oh, I'm having this thought right now. And then the response was just like laughter at it because I realized, no, I don't need to do that. Um, so I'm sharing this because how I'm holding now this specific example in this instance is that there's just some limiting beliefs that they're just ready to fall off. Just like the leaves entering the fall season, they're just like a little gush of wind comes through and those leaves are off and there's no drama and there's no big emotional release. That's it. So I laughed my ass off at that. And I feel that the laughing was like the processing of like, oh, that's so cute. And I love you. And like it's okay for this to be let gone. So I'm realizing that there's like all these different flavors and how our beliefs can get updated and metabolized.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. There's like that one like getting the cosmic joke aspect.
Ah.
We're getting it right now.
Oh my God, dude.
And it's hard to
Ah.
describe to the viewer, but it basically is like this like experience of like seeing that nothing matters in a really funny way, but also in like a really loving way. It's like, oh yeah, nothing matters and everything is love and I love myself and wow, like this is great. And there's a way in which like when you see that, when I see that, that allows me to like metabolize my limiting beliefs a lot quicker
Oh.
because it's like, oh, there's this belief that I have that's trying to protect me. And then I could like see that like it's just a thought, it's just a belief, it's just a wall. And then I could like, there's something about it that can be incredibly sweet and also like incredibly tragic and also incredibly funny, like the
Mm.
comedy and tragedy piece. And then you just like laugh about it and it just like moves. And then you're like, so what do I believe now? Which is also really funny.
On that, what do I believe now piece? I was in a coaching session recently. I was being coached, and I was exploring this like deep shit that I had going on at that moment. And my body starts like shaking and moving, and I'm like, all right, something's getting loose, something's obviously being metabolized. And once like the shakes happen, and I call them spontaneous exorcisms. Once the spontaneous exorcism was starting to conclude itself, and I just found myself in this like, oof, I'm pretty chilled out. The person who was coaching me was like, all right, and how do you see the situation now? And it was really cool to like just feel the words like come up as if they're just bubbling from the bottom, and this new language and this new perspective on this piece of my life came through, and I'm like, oh, this is so fucking cool. This I much more updated, much more empowering, and much more enriching worldview showed up now that I was able to let go of the previous one. Yet, as you really beautifully pointed out, I was still aware of my awareness. So I was aware that, oh, it's a new lens that's showing up. I like it. I want to use it. And it's still a new lens. And being able to be aware of that, it's like, all right, cool, I can rock this. And where was it? There was one more piece that I wanted to add to this. Now I'm curious if like how easy is it to just like change the lens, or do we need to go through this like deep emotional process in order to uninstall and uninstall different points of view? And I'm curious what comes up for you on that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like there's a way in which like how much was that lens like used to suppress emotions? I feel like has an impact on how hard it is to let go.
Mm.
Of like if I'm using an identity or using a map, a belief, a limiting belief to regulate myself, to regulate the world so that I feel like I'm in control in some way. It is really hard to let that go because then it's like that fight for control. There's a fight. Even in the belief, there's a fight with reality. Both if it's a belief or a map that assumes that I have no control, then it's very easy to let go because it's like, oh, safety is here. The safety isn't in the belief. So I feel like there's a way in which like the limiting beliefs, the ones that are limiting, the ones that are stuck, it feels like are the ones where I am fighting reality for control, are ones where like usually young, where I am trying to regulate my experience in some way, and there's like this authority, this like power I'm giving the belief to keep me safe in some way. Like I'm giving it the responsibility, the belief, the responsibility to make my world smaller so I can handle being in it.
Ah, fuck, man. Wow, what I'm getting from that one is basically that like there's layers of limiting beliefs, and the closer they are to our core, the one, the more influence they have, and two, the scarier they feel to even confront or to work with. And they take up the most energy, and they skew our perceptions the most. And some of them are, I guess, at this point, like kind of funny and kind of goofy, and like laughing it off would probably just like knock it off. But some of them are like, I don't know, man, this is some pretty existential shit. If I let go of this one, like I'm gonna die psychologically, which
Yeah,
feels so scary and dangerous to touch on.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm glad we just touched on like there's this
It's like an
like
iceberg.
yeah, and there's like a degree of severity of like how much will this limiting belief or this limiting belief fuck with your world, having worked through that.
Yeah, I love that. Like the idea of like the iceberg of limiting belief is really alive for me because sometimes there is like something that gets dislodged at like the bottom layer. Like suppose I'm interacting with someone and like I am assuming there's like a deep, deep, deep assumption of like, oh, I only get love if I am performing in this way. And I'm like deep, deep, deep down interacting with this person who's loving me and all my bullshit without me doing anything. Like something deep down gets like dislodged and then it sends like a fucking like a ripple up the iceberg. And there's like things falling into the ocean. I that like I don't even know what's happening because it's so deep down that like it's not it might be like precognitive
Yeah.
for when that formed, that limiting belief formed. There's a way in which like lived experience when they dislodge, when they disagree with those beliefs, causes someone to be incredibly triggered. And then working through the trigger, like actually like metabolizing the trigger is what creates a reality that's more coherent, more accurate, less like holdy. And I feel like it's like people are constantly getting that information of like people are constantly getting triggered. People are always getting triggered, and every trigger is just like, oh, your reality is wrong in this way. And the moment you work through it, the moment you learn to integrate it, that's when the reality updates. That's when the limiting belief changes.
Oh man, I'm just feeling into the like the irony of all this is like we build up these worldviews to deal with the world. They don't end up to be as accurate as we want them to be. We live in a world, so we're constantly bombarded with new information. It doesn't match our worldview. We get triggered. We realize we need to update our map. And right now I'm like, fuck, what a situation to be in. And at the same time, like I love my beliefs. Like I love being able to have certain filters to look at the world. If not, I think I wouldn't be able to distinguish the screen that I'm looking at from your face, and it would just be all like this jambalaya of data. Like I do sense that there's some level of projection that's needed just to be functional in the world and know that that's a car and that it's moving and that that's a hole, and if I go into it I'm gonna die or like hurt myself. So yeah, like functional beliefs versus like limiting beliefs, and like where's the line drawn?
I feel like there's a distinction. I know every spiritual teacher, most to every spiritual teacher who are like have done the work for a long time. They all say this thing, which is like, the more I've done this work, the less I know.
Hmm.
There's like this intimacy with not knowing that like develops. And not only the intimacy with not knowing, the capacity to be with more and more not knowing is what develops in them. It's like, oh, they're functioning in a way where they have owned more and more of their own safety and more of their own operating, their own knowing, their own wanting, and their own like operating, such that they're able to operate in a world that they know that they don't know
Hmm.
how they work, how it works, and they're still okay with it. Like they have the capacity to be like, oh yeah, I don't know anything, and still be able to move through the world in exactly how they want to. And I feel like there's like something about that where like there's an agency in it. There's like a lack of limiting belief in those spiritual teachers. Like I think Joe Hudson says this too, of like this embrace of wonder, this embrace of the unknown. And then like the more they've done it, there's like less even triggers because like, oh yeah, of course I don't know. Like of course, but I have my knowing and how I want to move through the world. And that allows them to update their understanding of their own knowing while continuing to assume that the world is a mystery. And then being able to operate from that place where the world is a wonder all the time, I feel like is like a part of this like this moving from having limiting beliefs to having no limiting beliefs of like the world is always a wonder, but I have my own knowing. Um, I'm creating a map right now, so I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but
Yeah, yeah.
it feels like an experience that a lot of spiritual teachers talk about. I don't know how that lands for you.
Yeah, I'm noticing my mind is serving me up like a direct experience that I had today of what you were just sharing. And I'm at this church that I was speaking about earlier, and there's this book of songs, and they're like, all right, go to page whatever, and we're gonna read verses whatever. And I'm opening this book, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? I've never I quickly started to realize I've never read a song book. And it's got these different symbols and like these numbers, and I'm like, I don't know. And they start singing, and I'm trying to read, and I'm like, I have no clue how to read this. And I'm noticing like getting all tangled up, like I have to know. Why don't I know how to read this? And once I heard that thought process, I'm like, well, dude, I don't have to know because I clearly don't know. So I embraced the not knowing of the situation, and I just started laugh. I had to close the book and just like laugh and let myself have the experience of, oh wow, I just judged myself for not knowing something, and I told myself I had to know it. And then I accepted that I didn't know, which was much more freeing. And still, I felt comfortable knowing I know that I don't know, and that's okay. And then I opened the book, and then I just like allowed myself to learn how it went. And then slowly I'm like, oh, I get it. And I left the place now learning knowing how to read a songbook, which I didn't before. So what I'm pointing at here is there's a specific and very enjoyable freedom that comes with admitting I don't know how to do something, and that's okay.
I think that's like the Zen pointer of like beginner's mind
Mm.
of like, oh yeah, always have a beginner's mind, always be in wonder.
Ah.
And that is a automatic like limiting belief metabolizer.
Ah.
If you always assume that I don't know anything, but I know exactly what I want to do, then like then you don't have limiting beliefs. You're just like, oh, I don't know how the world works. I'm a baby. I'm just gonna fucking be open and explore. And then it will unfold. Of course it'll unfold. That's how the world works. It unfolds. So it's like, how do you be okay with not knowing? How and I don't know how to not. How do you not know? It's like you can't know how to not know. So there's like a wonder in all of it.
Ugh. There's I'm gonna use one of the words from your lexicon. Um, something's cooking in me right now with what you just shared, and I can feel it coming up my back and then like rolling down my chest. And I'm grokking something that I hadn't ever grokked before. And like, so when you were saying like, oh, I don't know, but there's a knowing, and I'm like, I don't fully follow it. But then all of a sudden it clicked, and it's like, oh my God, I know that if I touch a hot frying pan, I'm gonna burn my hand. That knowing is inside of me. Like, I don't need any conceptual beliefs. I don't need to even learn. I don't even need to know how to speak it to someone. I just know it, right? And I can feel fully confident that I know that thing, regardless. Like, that's a direct lived experience. Yet for all the things that I just have these abstractions and these stories and these beliefs about, well, I don't really know any of that shit. So of course I'm going to be walking around insecure and in fear because I'm assuming that I know something when I really don't. And that'll be just much more easy if I'm like, nope, I have no idea about that. And then open myself up to have the experience. So I'm like all that's like percolating right now and ah, feels good. Oh.
Yeah. 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 There's like a way in which like I was confused why like the unknown or wonder. I think not knowing, unknown, wonder was like Joe Hudson's
Mm.
principles for a long time. And like through this discussion, I'm like, oh, of course, it's a great principle. It's like the thing that dissolves limiting belief. It's the thing that allows you to move move in the world without like getting triggered all the time. Is being okay with not knowing and then moving with wonder with your own knowing of what you want and how you want to do things so
Oh
that you
man.
learn. So I learn about what's going to happen next. So I experience so that I develop my own knowing.
Wow. So in line with that, more about this private vlog that I was recording yesterday, and I heard these words come out of me, and I was like, oh, I love the person that I'm becoming. And then once I heard that, there was like this pause, and I'm like, wait a minute. And I'm like, oh, it's kind of not like that. It's more like I love the person who's left when the stories that I had about myself start to fall away. And like inverting what I had just said, and it's like, no, it's not about like adding more things to my life or like to my understanding or to like my the story about myself. It's actually slowly removing more and more layers about how I think the world works, and that's when I like start to connect deeper with the core of the onion from all those things peeling back. And I was like, oh, that's so cool, man. I've built these stories and this personas to protect me from feeling this or that. And once I get cool with feeling this or that feeling, like, oh, I don't need that story anymore. And then like that starts to fall away. And like and like as things fall and like as the skin of the snake keeps like dissolving, it's like, oh, it's just me left. Maybe I had all these thoughts about who me is, and that's okay, but like it's just me. Like, duh, like ta-da.
Ta-da!
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like a version of like the map is never the territory
Mm.
in like the limiting belief piece, and then like the next question is like, how can you operate without? I think it's like the thing of like you'll only know what to do next once you've done the next step.
Mm.
Like the classic like you one step at a time. Like you can't like map your entire like journey to the top of the mountain before you've taken the next step. You just take the next step, and then you know where to take the next step, and then you know where to take the next step, and then you know where to take the next step. And I feel like limiting beliefs form when you're following a map too tightly of like I gotta go like this,
Mm.
and then you're like, wait, this map isn't accurate, and then you hit a wall, and then you get like triggered. And there's like expectations and disappointment and belief
Yeah.
and all this stuff when like you could have just taken the next step.
Mm. 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 Mm.
Or I could have taken the next step.
I'm noticing this curiosity for us to share. How do we explore our limiting beliefs? How do we bring them from like, oh shit, they're so close to my eye, I can't see it, to like, "Ugh." How do we make the subject the object?
How do I do it? I feel like we talked about this on Tuesday of like
Mm.
unrecorded of like one of my principles is touch reality. And what that means is when I have a thought, when I have an idea, like what's the fastest way I can like get a direct experience of what that is so that I can feel, I can know what it is because my thoughts aren't my knowing. And when I do that, what happens is I quickly start hitting my limiting beliefs of like I have a thought and I want it. It's like, oh, I have a thought of like, oh, if I do this, like if I go to this event, then I will know what flirting is or something like that. And it's like, oh, like I guess the example for that one is like I was thinking about like I don't know how to flirt. I got to figure out how to flirt. So the idea, and then it's like, well, I don't think I could figure out how to flirt. You just flirt, right? So I was like, oh, let me sign up for like a flirting workshop, and then I go to the flirting workshop, and then I experience it, and then in that experiencing, I hit all those limiting beliefs of like I don't know how to flirt. And then like I experience what flirting is. I'm like, wait, I've always known how to do this. You're just playing. It's like you hit it, you like get a discrepancy like that dissonance of like not matching reality, and then the limiting belief becomes apparent, and then you feel through the emotions to let it go. And there was like that experience of like as I'm touching reality, I get the experience needed to see that I even had a limiting belief in the
Mm.
first place. But I don't think I could have seen it without the experience. So there's like something about experimenting, doing things, getting your own knowing and experiencing that for me personally, that I've experienced helps with finding limiting beliefs and moving through them and letting them go.
Yeah.
What about you?
Cool. Yeah. So I'm hearing you like to discover your limiting beliefs by just like putting yourself in the territory, in the arena, and like whatever bumps, like, oh shit, check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one path that I've played with in the past, I haven't done so quite recently, but it was highly effective when I was playing with it, is taking the thinking path. If what you just described is like the doing path, there's like the thinking path, which is asking questions about meaning. So basically, I can say, for example, right now, I love cars and I feel so excited whenever I see a beautiful car. And then you could ask me a meaning question, which is like, oh, and what's important about cars and them being beautiful? And then what comes up for me is like, there's like an expression of beauty through the aesthetics of a vehicle, like just connects me with how genius people can be and how collaboration brings about these beautiful cars. And then you could ask me something about like, oh, and what do you believe about people getting together to build these things? And then what comes up for me is Wow, there's this mingling of technology with creativity, and the more technology grows, the more creativity can get like expressed through it, and we get to see these even more crazy and futuristic looking cars, which I find so exciting. And we can just like keep going up and up as if like they're up. So I found that to be a really cool way to discover like what drives my base level beliefs through these like higher limiting beliefs in general. Some may be limiting, some may be empowering. But that's another cool way to go about it.
I'm just like tracing back to the origin.
Correct. Yeah.
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 I'm also like questioning the assumption, just exploring, like having a thought and then just like thoroughly exploring it. I feel like just like maps your own map to yourself.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
you're like, wait, this map is no longer accurate. Then you can, if you know your, if you have the map, then you can like use your current information to fuck around with your own maps.
Yeah, and the image that comes to mind to explain this is like when you look at a tree that doesn't have any leaves, if you look at any single branch, that's like where the initial level of thought is, and then you can trace that silhouette all the way back to the trunk and all the way back to the core. So like it doesn't matter which thought you pick, if you start like investigating that thought and going down the rabbit hole, you're gonna get to a pretty core place in your life.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Like every thought has an origin,
Yeah.
even the critical ones that you don't want to look at.
Yeah.
Especially the critical ones. Maybe that's the ones that you want to look at. You find the limiting belief. That's
Yeah.
find the core emotional like thing that's like creating like your feeling of insignificant or whatever.
Mm.
So you're like tracing it back.
Yeah, dude, especially and even especially the ones that we use to defend some point of view or to defend some knowing of reality. It's like, no, things are like this, and like I'm right. It's like, oh boy, there's a lot of juice in going down the rabbit hole with that one. Oh,
Yeah. That sounds really fun. I'm just like, what are limiting beliefs I have? They're not just not even limiting belief, like what are thoughts I have that I want to go down the rabbit hole for? And immediately there's like 20 in my head that are just like ready to be
mm,
explored.
mm,
And it's like, ooh. And then the question becomes like, what's the discernment to like which one do I want to explore? It's like, oh, what do I want right now? And like, what would help? What would be in service of getting that want?
mm,
What exploration, what experimentation, what action would be in service of getting that want met?
mm. Wow, and what's bubbling up right now is like I'm remembering to like 10 years ago when like I hadn't done a lot of work, and to 10 years now where there's clearly more work done than the work I had done then. And something that served me incredibly well has been this like slow disidentification with my thoughts, and this slow me believing that I am my thoughts, and just because I have a thought, like that's who I am. And as that like attachment to my thoughts has been slowly loosening, then I'm much more open and flexible to playing with my thoughts, to exploring my thoughts. I don't take them as personal. If I notice that there's this thought judging someone, I'm like, oh, check that out. I wonder what that's about, and I can explore it with much more ease, in rather than like, oh my God, I think on my thoughts, and like if I believe something, it has to be true. Then it would be much more scary, if even impossible, to explore those thoughts because I'm like so enmeshed with them. So what I'm pointing at here is props and the benefits to mindfulness and a mindfulness practice and an awareness practice that slowly detaches one from identifying with thoughts, which then opens up the door for increased flexibility in exploring them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
I'm happy with my mindfulness practice right now.
And then it's like, how lost are you in your thoughts if you're mindless all the time? It's like, oh, You're just like
Yeah.
in it. You're like in it. You're in your thoughts. You're like all you see is your thoughts.
Oh.
Your reality is just the thought bubble.
Yeah. I know someone really close to me that used to live like that. Meaning me in the past.
I was gonna say, I'm like, I feel like that was me like a few years ago.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, cool.
Limiting beliefs.
And what comes up to that is there's something really sweet that starts to happen when like putting in the reps of limiting beliefs dissolving. It's that, oh, there's just this like silence inside of me that knows exactly what's needed for me in this moment. And like I can just keep like dropping back into that experience that's within me. And the more and more I do that, it's like, yeah, I'm good right now. Like no matter what's happening around me, I'm good. And there's like this inherent safety in that experience. And wow, it's the first time I hear myself saying this out loud. Yeah, I'm grateful for that.
I feel like I'm flying.
Yeah, I feel like a seaweed. Cool. All right, man. Wrap it up.
Yeah. I want to sit here in this. This feels so good.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like marinating in something right now.
Thank you everyone for watching the fifth episode of the Exploring Aliveness podcast. I had a great time. I'm gonna pass it over to Pablo.
Yeah. Just gonna echo what Samek said, and it's just so enjoyable to speak about these subjects that are so alive within us, and to be able to put words to it in ways that we've maybe never done so before. So yeah, it's just that every episode is as much as an adventure to our listeners than as it is to us, and I'm so glad we get to collectively share that.
Yeah. Sick.
Cool. All right, everyone. See you in the next one. Bye.